exactly what plan we have to use to get this place back
Who has the procedures, the policies for how to implement the trigger law? You know, once you've taken the school over, then what's in place to make sure?
Well, that's what I'm talking to the legislative aides on, but Gary knows more about it than I do.
I think it's cool if you're talking to these people. But these people don't know. They ass from their foot.
Yeah, no, we have to do this.
No, what I mean by that is, these people don't know shit about this law.
Right.
They reading just like y'all reading.
Right.
People we need to talk to is Shirley.
Yeah, this it. John
Shirley
is
was
with
lady that
Shirley.
came
That's
responsible.
what I'm saying. But you keep saying you talking to the legislators.
I said legislative aide.
The aide?
John is a legislative aide. That's what I was told his official title was.
I don't give a damn about them people, man. I need to talk to these parents from California. Tell us exactly what the blueprint is so we can go and do what we need to do.
Okay, because you know Shirley works for John. But that's fine.
Well, we should have a line of communication with both, I would think. You know, especially if they're working together. Shirley's the lady that organized the buses that we went on. And so and John is over her. These all part of, what's the name of the group?
Parent Revolution. John is the national director of Parent Revolution.
And so they're doing this all around, I need to read up on them more, doing this all around the country, pulling the triggers as much as possible, or trying to help parents do that.
I know
Is
that
that
they.
John Yee?
Yes, that's John. Yeah.
But again, so once it's done, what happens next? Like what you're saying, who takes over? How and again, like you mentioned, how many years is 5 years? I would think a 5-year window then might be reasonable.
I understand what you're saying, but I
Or
was getting
restart
to
it.
what Gary was saying about them like she said, calling that emergency meeting,
Right.
and then they reconstituting, but they not getting new numbers. That's a new identification number for the school. That means that even if they reconstitute, the next year is still an additional year. It's not like they're back to zero, and then if they're failing next year, they're only at 1.
Okay, so I reconstituted. How does that really impact what you're trying to do here? Is that like them trying to say, we did something new, give us a chance now?
Yeah.
But they're not gonna
What
get a
they
new
doing
chance.
right now is they trying to safety valve us pulling the trigger.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
This is the reason they reconstituting these schools. Because they trying to safety valve us pulling the fucking trigger. But they can't, you can't save them.
Because they still under the same number, like you said.
Right.
They're under the same number.
Yeah, they're still under the same
More
number.
importantly, you were supposed to, you gotta hold them to notifying the community, the parents. That was not done. It was not done.
And they're supposed to talk to the teachers. They're supposed to set up committees with the teachers and
None of that was
devise a plan. Because I know this because we did it at Aldi.
Everybody just has to understand that you just got to hold them to what they supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And the only people that's got the balls to do it is us.
Well, let's do it. You know, and I think people
we're
gonna.
gonna do it. That's just it.
I can tell you this, I was at Booker T. Washington on Friday, and they had a thick stack of papers, and I was like, okay, what is this? What is this? I picked it up, and it was saying, according to law, we're supposed to provide you with the statistical results of how we did on the STAR test.
Yeah, they are.
So if you want these results,
Right.
this is the link that you go to pull up these results. And if you have difficulty, contact this number. But all it had to do was say, is we failed. You see what I'm saying? So it took them 2 sheets of paper to give those instructions as to where you need to go to pull up the information.
When they could have
instead
just
of
given
giving you the information.
Instead of just giving the
So
information.
this is what's on the counter in the front office at Booker T right now.
And I guarantee it's at all the counters in the district, which is stupid. And it's HISD does stupid stuff.
So
It makes it difficult.
Yeah, I've been pulling the trigger. Once it's pulled, then what? What's next? What happens next? What do you really want?
Well, different people
What's
have
it look
different
like?
ideas. Ask Gary what does he envision.
Once the trigger's pulled.
You gotta look at the school. You gotta figure out what the problems is. If it's Yates, That whole administration need to go. Half those teachers need to go. They're not teaching jack shit. I know that for a fact. You see what I'm saying? They need to go. You have an administration that does not know what the fuck is doing. They don't know what they're doing. Well, they know exactly what they're doing.
But the teachers follow the administration, so it could be the administration's fault that the teachers.
Some teachers don't. Some teachers follow the TEKS. They don't do what the administration tells them to do.
Okay.
But 90% of them do exactly what the principal tells them to do.
Oh.
You see
Yeah,
what I'm
because
saying?
job security is a concern.
Yeah.
That's
So-
why when Ruth and them, when they were fussing at me, and I'm like, okay, due process is something I think is necessary for parents, teachers, and for students.
Yeah.
That is a concern. I said,
No,
She
close
said
that
close.
door.
Oh, close the door. Oh, I thought they were part of our. I'm sorry.
that's okay. So this is what I said to them. I said the same due process, and I didn't say this until I had done the research, which is talking to Shirley and John. The same due process that's in place now will be the same due process that's in place unless the school becomes a charter. Because everybody knows if a school becomes a charter, the process is changed.
Really?
Yes.
You can't have a due process at a charter?
The due process changes. What I'm saying is
Oh.
charters, like he said, Rosa needs to come to the front of the bus. So if a charter became something that we wanted to institute for one of the schools, then who's ever setting up those bylaws and those policies and procedures, they would establish what the due process is for students, parents, and teachers. But as for right now, let's say out of all 6 of those schools that pulled the trigger, only one of those schools became a charter, one became a hybrid, and the other 4 remained comprehensive public institutions. But they operated according to the demands that were presented to them by the parents. So 5 of those schools maintained the due processes that were in place, but when the one school that became a charter, the due processes changed according to whomever it was that was creating the charter.
Okay.
So that's a major issue for teachers. That's,
So, are you, you don't want to go the charter route?
who?
Is there major opposition to charters or what?
I'm a proponent, and I'm a loud proponent. That doesn't mean that everybody has to agree with me. I'm a proponent of comprehensive public education. I'm a proponent of using this as a tool to have teeth behind us so that we can force, like in those other 5 schools. Remember, out of 6 schools, only 1 became a charter. But everybody doesn't agree with me. Like Gary, he doesn't agree with me.
I don't.
But you know what, I think.
I don't believe that you take something God gave us and you use it as leverage to try to make them do something. They ain't gonna do nothing. You could put an M16 in Ted Greer's face right now. He's not gonna move.
I don't believe he's going to be here for long.
Well, it doesn't matter. His henchmen are still here. So my thing is, if those people believe in all this other stuff, then abandon parent trigger. Because ain't none of the other stuff got to stay the
Is what you just mentioned still under the HISD and Greer? Would that still be directly under?
What would happen is parent trigger is what allowed those 6 schools that pulled the trigger. It allowed 5 schools to get what they wanted, and 1 school, the district that was over that school, I think that was Desert Trails, which is where Miss Shirley is from. That 1 school, that district would not work with them, so they were forced to completely just take the school over. But once you have the petitions and you're saying, okay, we're reprogramming, we're restructuring, we're reconstituting, we want services in the school, we want social agencies in here, this is what we want this is what we want to happen in this particular school, in this particular neighborhood. Now, at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, then what do you say? You say, well, shoot, I'm just gonna take my stuff.
That ain't what people saying, man. It sound good sitting right there. what people saying, we got this trigger, but we want to do this.
Yeah.
We gonna use this to get this. No, this is what's got the state of Texas in an uproar right now. It ain't nothing you talking about over here with all these other forms of different things that we want to do. We should do this and do that. None of that is being brought up right now. You got the ammo.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're not gonna get any respect until you actually pull it.
I agree with that.
You're gonna have to pull it.
Pulling the trigger is getting the petitions. After you get the petitions, the question is, what do you do? There are choices after the petitions are collected.
Now that's what I was
Tell
going to
you what,
suggest.
I just resigned my position.
Don't resign. Let's have the
Dude,
meeting.
let me finish. I just resigned. I resigned. We were strategically placed in this room by a higher power. Each one of us was brought to this room. It's not by mistake that we all in here. It's by design.
I know that.
Let God do what he do. We came out of a little restaurant all the way to Austin, Texas, making the noise that we making. We're not gonna get any respect until the trigger is pulled. So my thing is people say, well, if you pull it and you fail, you fail one time. How many times HISD
Nobody's saying not to pull the trigger. Pulling the trigger is collecting the petitions.
I think you know this better than me. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna follow your lead. Now you will lead us. Because I never was a captain on the football team. But I'm a legend now. Because I led by example, so I want to follow you. You're going to tell us the plan.
Don't be facetious.
I don't care
Because we're not
it
here
is.
to be facetious. We're
But-
here to work together.
Well, get us through the
We
meeting.
vote.
Just get us through the meeting for now. You know, we just want to get through the meeting because I think what he said has a lot of merit, and I think that one of the reasons why I'm at the table is because of the willingness and the capability of pulling the trigger.
Right.
And I don't think you're saying anything different than that.
Absolutely.
So I think we should probably let's for the sake of the discussion moving forward, let's say that's a done deal. We're going that route.
Yes,
by consensus.
we're pulling the trigger. Yes.
So now we're talking about what's the
What
next
what
step.
what the next step is?
Yeah, and what you just
Absolutely.
mentioned was